call this meeting of the legislature to order. Madam Clerk?
Tucker Whitman,
Here.
Ben Vitale,
Present.
Mark Farrell, Paul Pickney is excused, Joe Runkle,
Present.
Keith Batman,
Here.
Hans Petcher,
Here.
Terry Baxter,
Aye.
Joseph Bennett,
Here.
Frank Reginelli,
Here.
Patrick Mahonic,
Here.
Timothy Lattimore,
Here.
Michael Didio,
Here.
Ryan Foley,
Present.
Michael Chapman.
Here. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of prayer? Please remember all those who have been affected by the recent outbreak and terrorist attack. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We don't have any notices left?
Nope.
Very good. So, at this time, 6:06 it looks like, I would like to open up the public hearing. This is to adopt a local law for salary increases for certain county officers and officials appointed or elected for a fixed term during their term. Is there anyone at this time that would like to speak to the public hearing? If not, we have no proclamations this month. Do we have any public to be heard? Okay, Madam Clerk, we have minutes.
Minutes for approval, 11/18/15, 11/19/15, and 11/24/15.
Mr. Didio,
Move the minutes of those dates, please.
second? Mr. Baxter, any discussion on those minutes? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have no report from the college. Joe, do you have any words of
Talked
wisdom?
to Dr. Durant today. He said since the last meeting, there really has been nothing new developed at the college. He will bring an update to us in January. Things are quiet at the moment over there.
Okay, thank you. Committee reports or individual legislator reports? No one?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lattimore?
I believe that Central New York received some good news. Were you gonna talk to us about that under the chairman's report, or?
I was gonna mention it. If you would like to
No.
expound, please do.
No, I don't wanna steal your thunder, sir. You sit on that board.
Anyone else? Nothing else going on? Okay. Madam Administrator?
Well, I put my current report on the desks there. I was caught off guard by the short distance, plus I was out yesterday. So it's on there. It looks remarkably like the report I gave at Ways and Means. The one thing I would add to that is that this morning, the chairman and I met with our insurance agents, and we did have some very good news about our liability and workers' compensation insurance, which I will let him fill you in on later. So, thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, relative to my report, yes, I will mention that we were, excuse me, the Central New York team is one of the groups that has been awarded the $500 million over the next 5 years. I think everybody's aware of the Cayuga County projects that could benefit from this, and certainly we hope it's gonna make a difference and bring added success and make us a little brighter spot on the map so that everybody can stop by. On another note, I had administrative folks from the Airport Authority come here, and they visited with Steve Lynch, Meg Vanek, and Andrew Fish. It was really a meet and greet to get a better idea of what one hand could do to help the other. I think the meeting was beneficial. There's a lot of good things coming out of the airport and a lot more planned for the future. Other than that, that about does it for this half of the month. Mr. Lattimore?
One follow-up, one of the one of the projects that were in there was a hydroponic project that might go in Cayuga County, and it's gonna need a lot of energy, and Capusa is working with the developers to make sure that we can take some of their excess power when they're not using during the summer months.
Okay, thank you. Before we move along, I just want to mention a couple things with regard to our agenda. The first thing is that Ledge 3, which was added today, has been pulled. A question has come up with regard to the tax law that's being addressed, and we should hopefully get some kind of decision tomorrow, and that may necessitate a special meeting in the next week. The other thing is that any amendment or any resolutions or amendments that pertain to the budget, we're gonna take care of it towards the end of the meeting. So if we could hold on that would be appreciated. So, Madam Clerk, appointments and reappointments.
Appointments and reappointments?
I'd like to waive the reading of the appointments and reappointments.
Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion on any of these appointments? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Communications.
Communications and announcements?
Mr.
I
Didio.
will motion to waive the reading of the communications and announcements unless someone wants to pull
Is there a
something up.
second? Mr. Baxter, any discussion on these? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Mr. Runkle.
I'd like to present our regular monthly resolution, which authorize payment for our bills from November 10th through December 7th. They've both been through committee and approved.
Okay. Any discussion on these? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next, Ways and Means has, at this time, 12 resolutions to present. WM8 is a resolution which has to wait until after we have approved the budget, so we will not be voting on WM8. But 1 through 13 will be, they've been through committee and approved.
Any discussion on any of these resolutions?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Batman,
can we vote on WM2?
you would like that separated?
Well, my question is, isn't that what the public hearing's about? In that case, I would like it separated, yes.
Right.
Yes,
Why don't we hold off on that till
till the
after
end.
time period, or 1 hour. So we'll, at this time, not vote on WM2 or WM8.
Anything else? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Mr. Mahunik.
Mr. Chairman, Health and Human Services, we have 12 resolutions. I would offer HH 1 through 5 and HH 7 through 13 as a bundle. HH 6 was pulled. The others have been through both committees, so I would appreciate their support.
Okay, any discussion on any of these health and human service resolutions? Did we get the control number assigned at 13?
It's going to be assigned.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Didio.
Government Operations has 3 resolutions, GO1, GO2, GO3. GO3 will be passed or read after the approval of the budget. It is moved to the end of the reading. So I will bundle GO1, GO2. Been through committee discussion. They've been approved.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Planning, Mr. Farrell.
Planning has 3 resolutions. They've been through committee. Present them as a bundle.
Okay, any discussion on planning 1, 2, and 3? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Mr. Whitman.
Mr. Chairman, Public Works has 10 resolutions. I would like to bundle all 10 unless anyone would like one singled out.
Okay, any discussion on any of these resolutions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Mr. Baxter.
Mr. Chairman, Judicial and Public Safety has 7 resolutions. Number 6 was pulled. I would bundle 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8.
Mr. Farrell.
Can we separate number 8, please?
Number 8, we could separate. Any other resolutions that anyone wish separated? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
JP 2 was revised. I left that out in case there was any discussion.
Okay, JP 2, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on JP 2? Mr. Bennett?
Fred, have you gotten any information at all on why that's a one-year term instead it can't be 2 or 3?
I've only gotten back to about the 80s, looking into research. I need to get back to about 1968, so the short answer is I'm getting there, but as I sit here tonight, I don't have an answer.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? JP 2, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
JP 8, authorizing the chairperson of Cayuga County Legislature to sign a transportation agreement with Key Livery Incorporated.
Mr. Farrell?
I'd like to go on the record as abstaining, please.
Okay. Mr. Farrell abstains. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Ledge 1. I believe this is passed through all the committees. Anyone have any discussion on Ledge 1? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So I said Ledge 3 has been pulled. Oh, God. We can hold off on a Ledge 2 at this time. There's some more changes to be made. I'll make a motion for the first of changes. That would be because the tax levy has been changed. The tax cap is lower than we had anticipated. From the preliminary budget number of $38,806,544 to $38,635,189. That's a reduction of $171,355. I would propose that that amount be reduced from the workers' compensation insurance expense account under each department code so that it could be applied to the budget. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Baxter.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lattimore.
the county administrator indicated that there was some reduction in our property insurance. Is this part of that reduction?
I'll let you speak to that, Susan.
There were reductions in both policies, the liability and workers' compensation. This is calling out workers' compensation because the reduction was almost $200,000, so it's $197,825.
And then you're gonna discuss the property and casualty reduction?
I made known to the chairman how much that was. The reduction there was $27,131.
Okay.
Anybody else? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Sheila, have you got one of these?
Which one's that?
What I just said?
No.
That's a part of that.
Now you do.
Thank you.
How's that? Okay.
No, it's lower. Down, push down.
I'll look to you, Suzanne and Lynn, did that take care of that portion of the budget? Okay. We can talk about another favorite portion that's been going around here for quite some time called the grid, or salary changes.
That's not electrical grid, is it?
Pardon me?
That's not the electrical grid.
No, it is not,
Feeling
sir.
like it.
Do you have your copy of the grid?
Yes, it is shocking, but it's,
Wrong county. Mr. Vitale.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd like to make an amendment to the resolution that I brought forward in the November meeting. And that resolution would be to exclude elected, appointed, and contract positions that are on that grid or guide, as we might call it. And I believe the list is in front of the legislators tonight, what those positions are, correct?
Okay, and you're looking at the list for the local law?
Yeah.
Is that what you, okay. Have you got that?
That list over there?
No, no.
The local law? Yeah.
So all appointed, elected, or contract. The contract employees would be the administrator and the auditor, and I believe they're already removed. So who would you have, I guess the easiest way, Ben, is who would you have left on it?
Ledge one took care of several of these people. So the rest of the positions that were on that grid, so to speak, are all still included in the resolution from November.
I wanna be sure we have these right. Okay, treasurer. So Ben, if I could, the only people we have left then would be the Civil Service Commissioner Chairperson, the Elections Commissioner.
Correct, and those should need to go through committee.
Okay, is there a second for that?
Second.
Second by Mr. Baxter. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, just
Mr. Lattimore?
clarity, Ben, county clerk, we had talked about an increase there in the treasurer, no?
That was ledge one.
That was ledge one.
That's been passed.
So that's,
Is everything taken care of?
all right.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Mr. Russell? Where is Mr. Russell? Mr. Russell? I may call upon you here in a second because I'm trying to unravel what needs to be done with these positions. I was informed by Mr. Russell that he had direction from Judicial and Public Safety and from Ways and Means to remove some persons or make changements, salary adjustment changes in the grade of the following positions, excuse me. These are changes recommended by committee. E911 Deputy Administrator removed from adjustment list as it is a vacant position. And for the purposes of salary adjustment, change the grade for the following positions. 911 Administrator, change from grade 8 to grade 9. Chief Assistant District Attorney from grade 13 to grade 11. Deputy County Treasurer from grade 11 to grade 8. All confidential secretaries placed on the salary scale for the purposes of this salary adjustment. Confidential secretaries in the DA's office to move from grade 5 to grade 4. I'm gonna make a motion to place into effect these changes that were recommended by committees to Mr. Russell. And there has been a new grid sheet. Does everyone have the latest grid sheet?
Nope.
No. Okay. Do you have copies for everybody? What it does, while Mr. Russell, I got one. While Mr. Russell's handing this out, what this is gonna do is lower the cost of the salary adjustment that we would have to make in utilizing this grid guide and providing the 50 percentile raises that we have been discussing and agreed upon. It would lower it from $104,532 to $98,821.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lattimore,
what Mr. Russell's handing out with this new upgrade, these changes were made this afternoon, or?
you'll have to ask Mr. Russell. He's been in the, working on these since committee meetings. I made a motion to make these changes effective at this time.
Okay.
Mr. Farrell?
There were other, included in that, and there was, Mike, what happened to those? There was another position here that comes under that where I mentioned it already been compensated to a certain degree. And it was kind of stated then that if we're trying to get people in the ballpark, we've already done that.
The request to me was to have that position, make sure that 2015 had already been compensated. And so if you'll look at if you'll notice on the sheet, there was no 1.5% added for 2015.
Okay, I guess I would go back to the 50% adjustment that we had stated. What our goal was to try to put these people into the ballpark where they should be with a 50%, and then to fine tune it next year. And if we had already compensated to the degree of 5,000, that would put us into the ballpark, and we would fine tune as time went by.
My understanding was that the impact that you wanted to give was the 2015. So that's why I removed from that. If you, if what your intention was in that conversation was to not provide the 50% adjustment, then we can make that adjustment if that's the will of the.
Okay, and what about other committee conversations that we've had during the month of December? Mr. Chapman just mentioned a few. Were there other adjustments in other committees that were being brought, or?
These were the only two committees where there was substantive requests made, were from judicial and from Ways and Means. And those are integrated in this. There are conversations in those other committees, but there was nothing directed in terms of making adjustments. The conversations will occur on the specific positions as we go through each committee during the spring.
Mr. Lattimore?
Mr. Chairman, this is a positive step. This is the first time we've had this grid system at these meetings, so, I mean, I think these people have been underpaid, and hopefully we can make some adjustment to that.
Any other discussion, questions? Mr. Farrell, did you have any other adjustments Russell, did you perhaps give everybody that list?
I have copies of that.
The list that's being passed out now will indicate to you that some of these positions that were mentioned do have adjustment impacts, and there are some that do not. If you'd like to check those. Lynn, with those folks that were, positions that were taken off the local law sheet, this would affect our salary number?
Salary adjustment account? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everything is included there, except for the amount of the 50% adjustments.
So these guys are accounted for, we don't have to make a
Yes.
change? Gotcha, thank you, thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Mr. Mahonik?
Not a question, but a statement. I believe in, the confidential secretaries were originally graded at a grade 4, and then there was a move to a grade 5. Just from the paper that was handed out, it says we're moving them from a grade 5. But we're really, from a grade 5 to a grade 4, we're really going to the original placement on the grid. We're not bringing them down, and I think the idea behind that was, let's have further discussion and make sure that we know what we're getting into. So, just so that we're not thinking that we are going backwards.
Right.
We're going back to the original placement.
Mr. Runkle?
Didn't catch it, was there a second to your motion when you read off these?
I don't know, I
Yes,
thought,
it was.
I thought I heard Mr. Baxter say it. Mr. Foley?
Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Sure, when we get there. You need another minute, Mr. Farrell?
Proceed.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Any oth- Mr. Lattimore?
the effect of these changes, net, it is lower than what was first proposed,
Yes.
to the difference of,
94, or, yeah, 93, 94,000, 10,000 bucks.
and it was originally 120 or,
104,532,
okay, so it's less than what we,
yes. Yep. Mr. Runkle?
The total of the 50% minimum adjustment is a $98,000 number.
Yes, if I said something different, I misspoke. 98,821. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we will proceed with a vote. Ladies, roll call vote.
And this is motion by you, seconded by Baxter, to accept the changes from the committees.
Yeah, I'll give you this.
Okay. You got one ready? Yep. Tucker Whitman,
Yes.
Ben Vitale,
Aye.
Mark Farrell,
No.
Paul Pinkney is excused, Joseph Runkle,
Yes.
Keith Batman,
Yes.
Hans Petcher,
Yes.
Terry Baxter,
Aye.
Joseph Bennett,
Yes.
Frank Reginelli,
Yes.
Patrick Mahonik,
Yes.
Timothy Lattimore,
Yes.
Michael Didio,
Yes.
Ryan Foley,
Yes.
Michael Chapman.
Yes.
Passed.
Okay, that is passed, so that's for you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Okay, does anybody have any wish to speak on the local laws that now stand? Okay, so, what can we do? Ledge number 4, which was added today. Mr. Didio, were you going to bring that forth?
Yes. Yes, a motion to move this, repealing the resolution 159-13, which states that effective January 1st, 2016, medical, health, and dental insurance benefits will be available for Cayuga County legislators, their families, or their dependents on that condition that the legislators pays 100% of the medical, health, and dental insurance program. Now, there is some, if we maybe get a second to that?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Lattimore. Okay, any discussion? Mr. Foley?
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd like to motion to table that resolution, and allow for it to be discussed next year, with the other legislation.
Mr. Foley has made a motion to table. Is there a second?
Oh.
Are you seconding it?
Yes, and I'd like to have
There's
some
a second by
discussion.
Mr. Lattimore. All in favor of tabling, pledge for.
Aye.
You want some discussion?
Yeah, you want?
Yeah. I believe there's gonna be another meeting this month,
There may be, yes.
and I think that maybe, when some of the other legislators, or Mr. Pinckney is here, might be brought up at that point. So I don't know whether you wanna wait till next year or the next meeting that we have this month.
There's another meeting this month? That's a different meeting.
We have another meeting this
We'll
month?
wait for next year. I think that'll be.
Mr. Foley's motion is to table until next year. Mr. Baxter?
Just what I'm thinking, if we table this till next year, the insurance and the payment will cease January 1. If that's correct, I don't think that was what this motion was about.
Right. And I also believe that the payment was due today, December 15th. So I think the sooner we do this, the better.
Mr. Mahoney?
I'm just saying.
I don't see any reason to table this. If you're gonna pay 100%, there's no cost to the taxpayers. It's just kind of cleaning things up, so let's do it. Unless I'm mistaken.
Mr. Lattimore?
I'd like to go to our attorney and ask him, under the Obama Act, whether or not we're in compliance with this. Some of the elected officials do have paid insurance, other officials don't. Are we not discriminating according to the law with this amendment?
I'm not sure I would use the word discriminatory, but the Affordable Care Act provides that the county has to offer health insurance for its employees on the same terms and conditions all the way across the board. What Resolution 159-13 does is treat the legislators differently. From that standpoint, it is contrary to the Affordable Care Act.
So we're not in compliance to the federal law.
Starting January of 16, yes.
Now, did we not just have a situation with one of our towns that we asked them to comply to some of our civil service laws?
We did. That was a matter involving the town of Troop, and the allegation was they were not in compliance with the civil service law and rules, and the judge ruled that they were not.
So shouldn't we follow the law?
That's gonna be a question that this body will have to decide.
Mr. Mahoney?
I agree, we should follow the law, but we should probably understand what the law is. There's still some questions out there. I guess this cleans it up, and going back to the town, the issue that Mr. Lattimore suggested, that took years to get to where it got to. It took a lot of time. I think if we do this, it gives us at least a month, 2 months, and then we can always come back and revisit this as the need arises. So I don't think we need to kind of make 2 issues out of 1 issue, I guess, is what we're kind of doing here.
Well, I mean, our consortium is trying to follow the law and trying to expand maybe the consortium. And I would want us to be in compliance with the state and federal laws.
Mr. Petcher, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I don't think, this issue, this repealing, the resolution that was made, about 3 years ago, will benefit the taxpayers. This is an unnecessary expense that, the taxpayer's gonna have to pick up again. We thought we were rid of it. Even if the worst comes to worst, the penalty for, not being in full compliance would be $3,000 a person. We currently have 3 legislators who are getting the benefits, maybe some more will next year. We'll want to have them. We're paying about $5,500 per policy, so even from a fiscal sense, it makes no sense to repeal the resolution. And let the people who wanna sue and saying that they're being discriminated against, let them sue. I'd love to see that. That would be a wonderful opportunity to see who's interested in, the taxpayer or who's interested in lining their own pockets.
That's a great statement.
Mr. Foley, you had your hand up?
So, as legislator Petcher said, we might potentially get fined. He said to the tune of $3,000 per sanctioned violation. Also, he said, that people can sue us. Fred, what else is there besides those, things that we open ourselves up to by not repealing?
Those are the two that stand out, would be the lawsuit by a member of the legislature, or the federal government would come in and do an audit and be potentially looking at fines to impose an account.
Mr. Batman?
To clarify, and maybe you don't know this, Fred, but the violation of the law would not be the violation of those people that are denied insurance, but rather the specific, at request, but the denial of those people that are not eligible to request, which would be 15, would it not? So is it not possible, the penalty is not 3 times 3, 3,000 times 3 people, but 3,000 times 15 people, so $45,000. Is that not possible or likely?
I'm not sure about possible or likely, but that's the other end of the scale. As I sit here, I don't know if it's $3,000 per person who is taking insurance or who was turned down, so to speak, or chose not to, or if it's $3,000 per full-time legislator.
Right,
Which is
because
a
I
little
would
different
think-
than potentially 15, because as I see it here in 16, I don't know if all 15 legislators will be considered full-time. So I'm a little hesitant on that.
Well, that's a kind of a separate issue, but I would think, I don't take the insurance, I have no intention to, but if I'm not offered the insurance under the same terms as other employees, I think that's the contrary to the Affordable Care Act.
That's my
Which would be, I would think, subject us to a penalty. So if we're making the decision based upon cost, then we better make certain what that cost is, because as I do the numbers, it's 45,000 or more penalty, and it's, I guess I didn't know those numbers, it's 5,000 per person, 15,000, the maybe a little more if we do the insurance. So if it's money, then I would think it comes down on the side of following the law.
Mr. Mahoney?
I think we're getting away from what the resolution reads. It's basically saying that there's 2 discussions going on here, is whether we adjust the compensation or what we do with, as far as what we pay for health insurance. I believe that this is merely stating that legislators that are taking advantage of health insurance will still have that opportunity if they pay the full cost until we figure this out.
It's just to rescind that. So they'll still have it, just to rescind. That's what this is.
But if they pay 100% of that.
Oh, this is to rescind that resolution. The original
Gotcha.
resolution said pay 100%.
Gotcha, all right.
Mr. Lattimore, then Mr. Baxter.
Well, just in regards to Mr. Petcher's comment about the fine, I think next year, the fine will be more than what the health insurance benefit in dollars is to me.
Mr. Baxter?
I think that this resolution should be passed. These people some that have the insurance shouldn't be put in a position where they don't have it while we come
come up with a hard decision of whether they should or shouldn't. If we go against the law and we're fined, you'd be giving money away for no purpose at all. Rescind the resolution, allow them to continue for the next few months while we come up with a decision that is hard and fast and not guessed or maybe. It's not that expensive. We can do it next year.
Mr. Foley?
So my reason for tabling is, I don't know what the legislature's feeling is on the resolution. I think it might not have full support from the body, and therefore it might fail. With that said, Fred, what would happen if we fail to repeal tonight?
I'm generally not very good at predicting the future. The short-term answer is that the legislators who are taking advantage of the health insurance would have to pay 100% of the premium. What and when the federal government would do something, I can't predict that.
So Fred, I have a question. If Affordable Care Act kicks in at the beginning of the year, does that not supersede or override this resolution that's out there?
The short answer to that is no, it does not. The resolution.
So we're more powerful than the federal government?
No, the legislature would technically be not in compliance with the Affordable Care Act.
The legislature?
The county. By legislative vote.
So, in reality, I think somebody mentioned it, that if payments for the insurance would be due now, I think, is that correct?
Today.
So if the three newly elected folks desire to have insurance, they can't sign up for it until after being sworn in, because they're not official.
Right.
Okay. Any other discussion on the motion to table? If not, all in favor to table until next year?
Aye.
Opposed?
How's it feel to be me, Ryan?
And apparently 1/3 is not voting. Okay, that's defeated. Back to the original resolution.
Call the question.
Yes, Mr. Batten. All those in favor of, would you like a roll call?
Yes, I will.
Okay, let's have a roll call, ladies.
for
This will
ledge
be all
four.
in favor of ledge 4, repealing the resolution 15913 with regard to the medical and dental insurance.
Okay, all set. Tucker Whitman,
Yes.
Benjamin Vitale,
Yes.
Mark Farrell,
No.
Paul Pinkty's excused, Joseph Runkel,
No.
Keith Batman,
Yes.
Hans Petcher,
No.
Terry Baxter,
Yes.
Joseph Bennett,
No.
Frank Reginelli,
Yes.
Patrick Mahonik,
No.
Timothy Lattimore,
Yes.
Michael Didio,
Yes.
Ryan Foley,
Yes.
Michael Chapman.
No.
Pass. Passed.
It passed. Okay. Thank you. We still got Mr. Runkle.
Now that we passed this, do we have this covered in the budget?
There is,
Mr. Chairman?
there's currently $15,803 budgeted under health insurance for the legislature, and I believe that covers the 3 people who typically carry it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Shouldn't have been.
You know what, Mr. Runkle, did you have anything else?
No, sir.
Mr. Lattimore?
Mr. Chairman, in the property and casualty, you've saved $225,000. I think there's, when you're talking about insurances, the line item there should be enough to cover.
I think it was 27.
Was 27 plus 200 from the workers' comp. So I think there's enough savings there to cover whatever expense this board has.
Okay. Have we got anything else we've got to address before we can?
You have to amend the budget for passing the $98,000.
Okay.
Do you wanna move ledge two to get it on the floor to start discussing?
Well, do we want to do that yet, or monkey around with this, local law? Doesn't matter. Okay. I'm gonna move the ledge two, adopting the county budget.
We can't,
Amend it.
Excuse me.
I'll
I would
make
like,
that
I would like to
motion.
move to amend the county proposed budget.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Are you taking the money from the fund balance, put into the provision for salary adjustment account?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the yes.
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 For
98,000
831, 821, from fund balance?
from fund balance.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Mahunik?
Can we get a total on what our draw is now from fund balance?
Thank you, Pat.
It will now be $1,743,761.
Mr. Batman, you had your hand up?
yeah, Madam Administrator, how much, you mentioned two places where we're saving, the workman's comp and the
Correct.
liability. How much was the workman's comp, we have about 27,000 balance after
Right.
the, what's the other?
I don't know, I don't have the subtraction of the other one. I know that in the sheet that I gave the chairman, once you adopted, once you reduced the property tax levy, the balance would be $53,600 would be available to help fund salary,
But that's from the workman's comp?
and the
Oh, that's a
liability.
total, and?
Yeah, that's the
In
total.
that case, I would suggest that instead of hitting the fund balance for the full amount, that if it's acceptable to those making the motion, that we move that 53,000, 58?
53,600.
53.6, move that from those insurance lines to the appropriate salary lines, so we reduce the draw on the fund balance.
I have no problem with that. I'll amend my motion.
So that motion will be amended.
So we'll then be taking like 45,000 out of the fund balance instead of 98.
The 45,221.
How much?
Out of fund balance would be 45,221.
What, Suzanne, if I may, what numbers are you calculating to get that total?
Well, if you take the $98,821, that's the salary adjustment, and then you subtract $53,600 from the
Okay.
liability and workers'
And that
comp.
total, that total you had was what?
And then subtract that, you get $45,221 would be then the fund balance.
Gotcha, thank you. Okay, are we good with that? Any more discussion, questions?
In regards to the health insurance payment that we make to Blue Cross, and our risk manager, First Niagara, also represents the city of Auburn. I know that Counselor McCormick is in the audience. I think we can reduce both our health obligations to our employees by working together to work with the consortium to reduce the health insurance for both our population and the city's population going forward.
Anyone else? favor of the way the
Well, Mr.
resolution stands now?
Well, Mr. Batman made a motion to amend it. Did anybody second?
Well, he did not make a motion to amend. Joe agreed to
amend
amend his
his.
motion.
Okay.
So we got one
One
motion
motion.
out there.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 2, 3, 4 opposed. Okay.
Farrell, Bennett, Whitman, Mahoney.
Do we have anything else any other adjustments? If not, then I will move for Ledge 2, adopting the county budget.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on Ledge 2? Mr. Whitman?
I can't support the budget as it stands. It's just not a good business practice to be using somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.7 million out of the savings account to keep the lights on. It's gonna work this year, might work next year, might work the year after. Sooner or later, it's gonna catch up to this body, and it's gonna be rough when it does. I don't think we can plan on any type of windfall in the coming years. Things are not gonna improve, as far as I'm concerned. And I realize that amount is not all going to general operations, but there's a considerable amount of fund balance being used to pay bills, pay salaries. It's just not a good practice. It makes me uncomfortable.
Thank you. Mr. Lattimore?
Well, Mr. Whitman's point is good. If we reduce our operational costs, as I just indicated, one of our biggest bills is our health bill. I think that if we collaborate with the city and some of our other municipalities to reduce our health costs, that would reduce our operational costs. If we go to our cost of energy, hopefully that'll be down this year with the cost of natural gas coming down. So if we reduce our operational costs, I think we can meet our budget in the future. And I think it's taxpayers' money that we're using towards this budget. And as you say, it's rough out there. Let's help them out a little bit. And this budget is gonna be under the cap. Is that right, Suzanne?
The tax levy will be, yes.
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes, I'd like to express my concern about the budget. I would really like to vote no on the budget. The problem is that sitting here, representing the people that I know really want to stay below the tax cap. I have to vote yes in order to do that, because if we were to vote no, then we revert to a previous approved budget that goes over the tax cap, which is, I think, something that our constituents surely don't want us to do this year. So as a legislator, I'm stuck here between a rock and a hard spot, and have to support the budget just to remain below the tax levy cap. So it'll be a yes vote for me, but, very reserved, and it shows and indicates that we have some serious work to do in 2016.
Anyone else? I join with Mr. Vitale in having a concern about this budget. I'm not impressed with this budget. When we met at our last meeting last December, we talked about getting a budget look, or a look at a budget, early on, and that was delayed. We also talked about a 3-year plan. I haven't seen one. I talked to a lot of people out there in my district with regard to exceeding the tax cap. I think I came across one that I recall that thought that we should stay within the tax cap. But I think there's an awful lot of smart people out there who realize that we can stay within this tax cap and we can keep our taxes low, but it's gonna catch up to us. If you look on page 4 of your budget book, you're going to see the history of the tax increases. And all those years that it was kept very, very low were followed by some very dramatically high increases. Some of them even reached double digits. That's not what you wanna do to the taxpayer of the future. If we expect people to stay here, if we expect people to work here, we've gotta be reasonable. Exceeding the tax cap and remaining within a reasonable tax levy seems to me to be a reasonable way to run business. I wish we had the magic bullet. I don't like the tax cap. I've expressed my disappointment to the governor, to his staff, to our state electeds on a regular basis. This tax cap, it's a fairy tale. It's not a true 2%. A true 2% would probably allow us to work for a couple of years so that we could get in shape and so that we could cut some corners and we could stay in business at a very reasonable rate. But that's not happening. I don't know if there's a master plan or some strategy. I would hope not, because it certainly puts us on a path where we're not gonna be in very good shape in the future to come. I wish you all well in 2016, because those of you that are here, you should start working on the budget again in January. And I mean work hard. I know we missed some places where we could have cut some money, but I think we did a pretty good job here of finding monies where we could, when we could. I would like to say no to this tax, or to the budget as the way it's presented. I think, I heard this before, that sometimes it's better to be lucky than smart. I think maybe we were a little lucky in finding some dollars and throwing this thing together in the manner it was thrown together. But I think next year is the year to start being real smart about this. Anyone else have any comments? Mr. Mahoney?
Just a quick question. If for some reason the budget does not pass tonight, we don't automatically, I guess it's a question for Fred, we don't automatically revert to the preliminary. We have till December 20th to come up with something, if the body decides to do so?
If the body decides to do something, if no action is taken between now and December 20th, then the budget that was in place as of November 24th is your budget. So yes.
However, that budget that you're talking about on the 24th was not accurate.
It is the budget that the county would revert to.
Based on the information that the legislature was given, but that wasn't accurate. The tax cap was incorrect.
Somebody said it is what it is, and that's,
Well-
you're stuck with it, I guess is a short answer.
Even though, so we go over the tax cap, even though we now have no resolution to go over the tax cap?
Yes, and difference, which I don't know what the monetary difference is put into a reserve for 2017?
Correct.
Thank you.
And it would be 171.
So 2 years of punishment,
Yes.
right?
Well, 2 years, well, a year and a half, till 17.
State would take the money
No, the
until,
state doesn't take the money, the county puts it in
put it in a
reserve.
reserve for till 2017.
Correct.
Anybody else? Mr. Baxter?
Mr. Chairman, I think this is the budget we have. We've done the best we can. There's no reason to like it, and there's no reason not to pass it. We need to get on with other business, and hopefully this situation gets better next year. The tax cap, as you say, is a fallacy. It should be calculated, put in a sealed envelope. We do the best budget we can, then we open the envelope and see if we hit it or not. But 0.8% is not a feasible tax cap.
Anybody else? Mr. Foley?
Yeah, I mean, should this be made absolutely clear that, it's a terrible spot to be in. Nobody wants to really, we're backed into a corner here because you have to vote yes on a budget that you might not like because you wanna stay under the tax cap. And so, if we all vote no, we don't have the budget, it reverts back to something that's over the tax cap. There's nothing that we can do about that now. It's unfortunate. I will be voting yes on it, but, that's, these people think these things are easy, they're not. And I don't like being in this position. I will not be in this position, again next year. Something will change, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Ladies, if we could have a roll call vote. Mr. Petcher, you had a question?
I was just gonna comment, maybe if we had followed our original plan to have this budget passed in November, we wouldn't be in this position, back against the wall.
Okay, thank you. All set? Can I have a roll call vote, ladies?
Yep. Set. Okay, voting on the budget. Tucker Whitman,
No.
Ben Vitale,
Very reserved, yes.
Mark Farrell,
No.
Paul Pigney is excused, Joseph Runkel,
Yes.
Keith Batman,
Yes.
Hans Petcher,
No.
Terry Baxter,
Yes.
Joseph Bennett,
Yes.
Frank Reginelli,
Yes.
Patrick Mahonik,
No.
Timothy Lattimore,
Yes.
Michael Didio,
Yes.
Ryan Foley,
Yes.
Michael Chapman.
Yes.
Passed.
Budget is passed. Thank you. Now, we have some other items that need to be addressed. It is now 7:06. I'm gonna close the public hearing on the local law unless anyone else has any comments at this time. Okay. Can we just vote on that now? Okay. This time, then, I would like to move this local law as it stands amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Didio, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr., whoa, we got four.
Four. Farrell, Foley, Whitman, and Batman.
Okay. All right, going backwards here, we have
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, what
GO3.
was, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, what was the count on that vote?
Let's see, we have one.
4-0, everybody else was yes.
All set? Okay, going back to GO3. Any discussion on GO3? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Move too
Okay.
fast, what is it?
We have
Tax levy against the city of Auburn, thank you.
WM8. Any discussion on WM8? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, are we all square then on the budget stuff, ladies?
Supposed to be at the
Right?
end.
I believe we are.
Okay. There's a couple other items. One, as I mentioned, ledge 3 was full. There may be a need, I won't know until tomorrow, so I'll let you know by email, or I'll be asking by email, the availability for everybody for a special meeting, which would probably be called on the 21st or 22nd. That's next week. Just in case this is our last meeting, I would like to say that I've had a magnificent time as your chairman. It's been a great education. I really enjoyed working with everybody. I learned a great deal from each one of you. We didn't always agree, but I think we did what's right for the county taxpayers. And I'm very glad to have been part of this organization and been able to work with each and every one of you. Mr. Lattimore.
I'd like to just wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. Any other business?
Yes,
Mr. Didio.
wish Mr. Chapman the best in his future endeavors.
Thank you. And I'm not gonna promise that I won't come back and sit in on a meeting, you know? Because then I get to ask the real questions out there. Mr. Didio.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Is that painful or painless or?
That was good. That was good.
Oh,